I could spend the entire scrap sitting here and listing this man's accomplishments. And a big reason we are talking today is because besides all of his past accolades and everything else, he decided to add another, let's just call it best-selling author to the stack.
About how many times in your career, and certainly I've had this plenty of times in my career, where you say that officer is the complete package. If they only knew how to deliver the message, if they only knew how to communicate with people, if they only had people skills. And that's what this book is about. It's about those skills. It's about how to deal with people that, you don't always have to be a ham. Showing empathy and inclusion and just so many of the different things. And, and I've had so many great people that I've learned from. I'm a learning sponge. To this day, I'm constantly trying to learn and listen. And one of the early advices that I got from, one of my captains, Captain Gene McGowan, was, read something fire related every day, every tour. You know what? I'll use a quote that's from another awesome book, The 9 L's, where it talks about, if you read something 1 hour a day, that you'll quickly become one of the leaders in your field. And I remember when I was reading that book, and I'm thinking, I've been doing that for 31 years. Any good leader really is engaged to the point where you recognize that you don't have all your answers, your organization doesn't have all the answers, and reading from other books, other leadership books, others outside your profession, my goodness, the amount that you could learn from other people, instead of reinventing the wheel. And this is, my version of that with a lot of fire stories, right? McRaven uses a lot of military stories. That's what he knows. And I got tons of fire stories and experiences based on that. Some good, some bad, some sad, some happy. The book really runs the gamut of all those topics.
All right, I'm getting into this because Joe took my first question. And remember when you got to break my shoes about 1 million, right? 1 million, you got to break my shoes and it was fun. I get to break your shoes about best-selling, man. It's awesome. It's one of the greatest things in the world when you get to do that to a friend, man. It is a great feeling. It's payback. That's why I say it.
Success by itself isn't success, right? Success with your friends and others. For the viewers that don't know, and I'm sure they don't know at this point, but Corley was one of the early editors of the book, and had a lot of insightful suggestions that really strengthened the book. And I'm super appreciative of that. He has an amazing way with words, which I know you all know that. And on several chapters, he really made them worthy of keeping them or putting them in the book. So, and I know you keep telling me, right, this isn't about you, it's about the guest. But you know what? Yeah, it is about you as well, right? And you also are an author of 1/3 of one of the chapters as well. Humble thank you.
And I was humbled and very proud to be allowed to see the book before everybody else. First of all, that was my ulterior motive, was to get to read it before everyone else. And then I got to give suggestions, which some of them you took and some of them you threw out. And that's great. And I really loved, I'm telling you this, you have a gift, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart, where I can, there's a lot of people I couldn't say the things I said about their book because they don't have the humility to hear it. Does that make sense? And
it does, but and again, that's the value, right, of Driver Joe. That's the value of other people that I intentionally surround myself.
Corley Moore, Firehouse Vigilance, Weekly Scrap, number 214. My guest tonight is my brother, my friend, Bassel Ibrahim, a 19-year student of the fire service, currently serving as the company officer of Tower 1 on the Orlando Fire Department. Bassel started his career in Volusia County, Florida, spent most of his time on Special Operations Unit. He is a Florida and Georgia smoke diver, Georgia Flames graduate. He teaches truck school, VES, RIT operations all across the country. Anywhere you'd want to teach, he has been there. He's the owner and lead instructor of Proactive Rescue Operations, an international training company that focuses on RIT, survival, and truck operations. Basil does the training. He teaches USAR. He has one of my favorite lectures, One Bad Day, and now something we're going to talk about tonight, which is the One Bad Tour. My brother, Basil Ibrahim, welcome back to the scrap, number 214.
All right. How's it going, Corley?
Going good, my man. I am excited for this evening.
Thanks for having me, man. Thanks for having me follow Chief Lieb. No pressure whatsoever.
No pressure. No pressure at all, man.
Yeah.
Just one of the best dudes on the planet, followed by one of the best dudes on the planet.
All right. We'll find out.
Kyle is in the chat. He is ready to field your questions, whether you throw them up in Facebook or YouTube. He is looking at them. He is ready to grab them. So get your questions ready for Basil. Anything I missed? Anything you would like to add from the intro?
Nope. That's already too much. We're ready to rock.
Audience, yeah, Kyle's here. He's waiting for you. Quick announcements. If you're not a member of the Vigilantes, go to firehousevigilance.com. Become a member of the Vigilantes. I already asked Basil if he would be in the scrap after party. He said he would be. So if you want to come in there and roast him after he tries to follow Frank Lieb, you can roast him in the after party, which is something we always threaten to do and never find a way to roast him. Yeah, so that gets everything underway. Yeah, on to the sponsors. Key Hose, the hose experts. Check them out online at keyhose.com or follow them on Facebook. Affordable Drill Tower, firefighter owned and operated. The only thing that you can't do on an affordable drill tower is live fire. Affordable Drill Tower, you can rappel, stretch hose lines, go through the stairs, go through the floor, do window bailouts, cut holes in the roof props, use the apartment balconies, pump into the FDC, or flow water from the sprinkler system. Call Steve, 844-55-TOWER, or drop an email to info@affordabledrilltowers.com. FirestationFurniture.com provides a complete line of quality furniture for your firehouse. Firefighter owned and operated. They understand the strain firefighters put on furniture and offer furniture that's built to last. Visit FirestationFurniture.com for more information. And then the Fast Wrench, my buddy Dave. Fast Wrench is the one and only standpipe operations multi-tool in the fire service. It combines 10 different tools into one lightweight, easy-to-use hand tool. The Fast Wrench is quickly becoming the best practice tool for adjusting any make or model field adjustable PRV, and it is an absolute must-have in your standpipe kit. Designed by a firefighter for doing the tough business of standpipe firefighting. Check them out at fastwrench.net. That officially gets us through the sponsors and to the fun part of the show, focusing on the guest. Brother, episode 93 was the last time I got to have you on the scrap.
Yeah, it's been a little while ago. That and the chat with Jim McCormick and Rob, that was fun too, man. But it's been a while, man. You've pumped out quite a few awesome guests since then.
Yeah, the mega scrap was after. So yes, we did have the mega scrap. But man, it's been a minute since we got to have a one-on-one conversation. And since then, man, so much has gone on. But I want to start off and lead off with the call. The call, a lot of people have probably read about it, seen the posts, things like that. But for those who haven't, fill them in on the call and basically what went down, and we'll talk about your mindset towards that and how it can help others.
Okay, essentially we had a rollover car accident call, single unit dispatch for us. Typically, if it's in the extensive damage or a rollover or entrapment, we usually get a multi-unit dispatch. But for that call, they dispatched us just straight up single unit. So you would assume that it's just a minor wreck. I was working a swap on a tower truck, Tower 15, that's in a very slow part of the city. And the engine company and the rescue were out on a call. All the other units surrounding the other firehouses were out on call. The city was pretty busy that night, so we got popped for that wreck. And so we get on the rig. En route, we look at the computer, and essentially the notes were populating stating that it's a rollover. possible entrapment. So I let the guys know, hey man, this is probably or possibly be an extrication. So the guys were finishing getting ready, and literally as we turned a corner, we could see the glow. So I guess the vehicle was on fire, and at that moment we saw the glow about a quarter mile from the firehouse, the turn, and our dispatch upgraded the alarm. They were getting multiple calls saying that there was a victim trapped in there. So literally, I would say maybe less than a minute from that point, we were on scene already. So get on scene, confirmed entrapment, single vehicle rollover. So it flipped, it hit a tree pretty hard and landed back on the roof. Cars and debris everywhere. We were on scene for about 11 minutes before anybody else got there. Now, 11 minutes may seem like a very short amount of time, but I'm telling you, for me and for the guys, it felt like we were on scene for 5 hours waiting for for help. So we pull up, get out, do a quick 360, confirm the entrapment. One lady screaming on the inside. We start trying to knock the fire out with a water can while we stretch the line. We don't have a lot of water on the tower trucks in Orlando. Relaying the information to command and telling them we're going to what we call rapid rescue mode. So essentially not following all the proper steps of cribbing and all this extra stuff. We need to get this person out. So it was an engine compartment fire that was extending into the passenger compartment. So no fire in the passenger compartment yet, but the amount of smoke that was pumping out of there was significant.
Right.
So essentially, we knocked it down with a water can. One of the firemen knocked it out with a water can. The other guys were stretching the line and grabbing the tools, and we were able to pop the rear windshield and make patient contact with that lady. And she was pinned in there, like her legs were pinned between the front headrest and the roof. And essentially, man, I mean, I ended up taking my air pack off and giving her my mask. So just to buy us some time for the extrication. There was only 4 of us operating there, and so that's the call in a nutshell. The out the box per se thinking of taking the face piece off and using it to provide airway support to the civilian victim. And honestly, I did not even think about it while I was doing it. It was just like second nature, just taking my air pack off and giving it to her. That call was probably one of the most stressful calls in my career to this day. So besides that call, I don't count that call as a grab, but besides that, I was involved in 4 grabs, rescues in my career. And that call was more stressful than every single one of them. And what I attribute the stress to, it was because that person was still conscious, alive, and asking for help at the time. The other grabs that we were involved in, and we found them house fire, they were all unconscious when we got to them. So it was almost no emotional attachment, if that makes any sense.
Right.
But that was extremely stressful. It added a lot of stress. And the fact that when you got somebody telling you, please get me out of here, don't let me die, and all these things, you're like, damn, man, like, you really have to do something and make a decision like that, like right away, right now. And there is no, like, what do we do? There's nobody to help. So anyhow, luckily it worked out really well. We were able to give her the face piece. She was actually fighting it initially. She was a little claustrophobic. So we cracked the bypass a little bit just to kind of give her some flow and coached her through the process, because I didn't want to open it up all the way, and now we're completely out of air. But she tolerated it. She was able to hold it on her face, and we were able to do a dirty extrication and kind of just stabilize the side and cut one of the C posts and ended up prying down on the roof and extricating her. So the fire, we thought we had it under control. We ran out of water with our hose line, and the fuel tank was ruptured, so we kept reigniting. The second engine, the first engine showed up on scene, and then mitigated that with some foam operation. But so it took us from the arrival to victim being extricated was 11 minutes, which I think it's for that circumstance. I think looking back at it, it's a pretty fast rescue for what we had.
Right.
So I don't know what I can attribute, I guess, the success of it to. Out of the 4 of us working that day, 3 of us were not assigned to that truck. So
oh, wow. Okay.
the district chief that was on scene was also a floating district chief. So you really had like no crew continuity per se, but in my fire department, we have SOPs, seat assignment, rig assignments. So I think that also helped out quite a bit. We didn't have to give out too many orders right out the get-go. The guys did a phenomenal job, man. And
so let me dig in and say, had you ever drilled on or thought about before saying, man, if we get this, I'm going to pull my air pack and give it to a victim? Is that anything that you'd ever drilled on or thought about?
No, but I tell you what, if it happens again, I will pull the RIT pack instead of giving up my own face piece. So now it's actually on my crew on Tower 1 as part of our pin job assignment. If we have any sort of fire involvement, we bring our RIT pack and stage it out there.
Nice.
Because me giving my face piece to the victim, not only, well, one, now I don't have a face piece on, an air pack, so potentially, it could set me back. 2, the pass alarm kept going off every 20 seconds, so I had to keep going back and kind of shake it,
doing the shimmy.
Yeah. And also, I mean, the RIT pack has more air than our air pack carries. Also, the patient ended up actually running out of air right before we extricated her. I had called for a second air pack from engine 16 driver to kind of do like a swap. But if it was a RIT pack, we could have just like transfilled it, or there was a lot of lessons learned on that end of it. And really, the main thing that I want to tell people about this call is don't be afraid to make outside the box, like out the box decision, as long as you can justify them afterwards.
Right.
There was talks about, me being written up for improper use of SCBA and operating in the hot zone without the proper PPE, all this stuff. At the end of the day, I would have taken that write-up and hung it up next to like all my cool stuff.
Right.
And be proud of it.
Right.
But it never happened. So that's a good thing.
No, I love it. And Abrashoff, I think it's his book where he talks about the New York Times test. I think I could be misquoting the newspaper. He says basically, if you're happy reading the headline the next day in the New York Times, firefighter takes off air pack to save woman trapped in car. If you're happy reading that headline, then go. That can be your test.
Yeah,
go ahead and do it. Go ahead and do it.
That's right. But
Jeff, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Jeff Burke said, talking about this story with our crew led to the decision to pull the RIT pack for the victim on any vehicle with entrapment. Awesome job, Bassel and crew. So I wanted to say that, like, it's resonating and mattering. It's making a difference out there.
Yeah, no, excellent, man. That And it's not really about me. If the crew didn't do what they did, the rescue would not have been successful. I mean, those
Sure.
guys were moving and thinking just as fast and just as much as anybody else. Those guys did a kick-ass job. Now, the crazy thing that we found out the next day was that lady that we pulled out was the daughter of one of our dispatchers.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so we
No, I
we,
hadn't heard
did,
that.
we didn't know any of that, obviously, but that just reemphasized the fact that really you need to treat every patient that you run on just like if it's your family, because you never know who you're going to run on, man. And that was crazy. I'm glad the outcome was good. We were able to visit her a few months later. I mean, that's been over a year now. I think it was May 16th or May 17th of last year. But
I
that was a
love it.
good outcome on that, man. I wrote an article on it for fire engineering with all a lot of lessons learned, and like step by step, people can try to reach out to, I think, the September issue of last year.
I'll try to find it. I'll try to post a link to it in the chat.
Yeah,
If I
yeah,
can find
man.
the link, I'll throw it out there.
Yeah,
Absolutely. You said seat assignments, which I'm really big on. I love seat. I love having a playbook when you're coming off the rig. The air brake is hut and everybody runs the play, right? And so, do you have them on extrications on pin jobs? Do you actually have seat assignments on those?
yep, absolutely. So
Nice.
seat assignments are great, but they also, if you don't think past them, it actually handcuffs you. It makes you into a cookbook fireman, what I call them. You
Right on.
just know exactly, this is what I do, and then if it goes beyond that, you're stuck. So it's a great
Nice.
starting point to get the ball rolling. However, you still need to attack and train on the scenarios and the calls that are going to be outside the norm. But we do have them on pin jobs, and I even go a little bit more advanced on that with my crew. We talk about seat assignments for vehicle on all fours, seat assignments for vehicle on its roof or on its side, or if we have to use the winch or chains. So we're a little bit, I want to say, crazier than the others, but we even the engineer is going to go to the roof side. The left jump is going to go to the undercarriage. So we try to really pinpoint everything, but so that it makes sense and we can effect the rescue as fast as possible.
Right on.
That's
Right
the
on.
goal.
No,
But
I
yeah,
love it. I love it. I love it. I love sharing it to everybody. I did post the link. It may be, you may have to have a subscription to fire engineering to read it online. I'm not sure, but I did post the link to it. It's mixed crew, does amazing job on trap victim or something. Pretty much. Yes.
yeah,
Yeah. Okay. Perfect. Make sure I had the right article. I didn't think there was a lot that you had written about entrapment. So I figured I was safe. Solid, brother. Okay, so I love it. Thank you for sharing it. I want to get to this because I love this topic. And everybody, if you have questions for Baz about any of the extrication stuff, rescue stuff, you saw all of it, anything you want to throw at him, please get it. Kyle is here in the chat, ready to grab. Ready to grab. But I want to get to the challenge you faced over the last. I don't know when it started, but you lost every member of your crew to
yep,
promotions within a
yep.
6 month span. Talk to me about that.
Correct. So literally, as of last week, I lost all three of my backseat firemen and my driver. They all promoted out. So all three of my firefighters took the engineer test. My driver took the lieutenant's test, the company officer test, and they're gone. They all got promoted. So I'm happy. I'm very happy for him. But honestly, I'm not, because we didn't do a really good job at filling the bench for the succession plan for that.
Sure.
And so now we're facing the the repercussion from that. So I cannot stress enough that no matter what, you guys have a super awesome crew, well-oiled machine, you work well together. Even if your crew is not planning on taking a test or moving or whatever the case is, it is super important for you to develop the future candidates for your truck. I can't stress that enough. There I am now. I mean, the guys that just got assigned to the rig, they're all great. They all earned their spot. There is no spot that are just given like that. However, we're not a team yet. If
Right,
that
right.
if that
Oh,
makes
absolutely,
sense.
absolutely.
And that part, it to me is probably the most important part. That crew cohesiveness, that trust, that team building is extremely important. And there's only two ways you can develop that: is running calls with them or training them. That's it. That's the only way you can really build trust with people. So so that's where we are. And then we talked about in episode my last scrap with you, like lowering the standard and all of that. Well, that also affects the bench, because again, not just my fire department, I'm talking globally, the candidates that are coming in at a way lower standard that what we used to have. And now you have to start even lower. And I don't really blame necessarily the candidates, because if I apply for a position and I'm not ready for it, but they
Right.
give me the job, I'm going to take it. Okay. Now it's up to me to try to catch up and everything. But if you're just some dude that, is just there to collect a paycheck or whatever, then he's just going to stay there. And if we don't have procedures in place to lend you a hand, but also if you're not able to reach that performance level that we need to have procedures to let you go.
Right.
So,
right.
and that part is extremely difficult right now, at least in our fire department. It's super difficult. But yeah, I mean, it's like starting over, man. Starting over, and I'm excited. So it's a double-edged sword, because not that we didn't train before,
Right.
we did, but now we're going to even amplify that training. We have to
Right.
get on the same page, and so we can perform as well as we used to with the other guys.
What you just used to take for granted, almost, just have
exactly
right.
Big time. Little things, little tiny things that you take for granted, and you don't realize it, man. And those guys they're awesome, man. But on the flip side, what did that just do? Those guys are getting promoted, and hopefully they will carry on that aggressive culture, that training mindset, that helping everybody at the firehouse mindset. And now they're moving to different shifts, moving to different companies over the city, and having a bigger influence. And really, my hopes is to try to send as many of those guys out there geographically, so we can infect the rest of the guys out there, And I'm not saying that there is not good people out there. That's not what I'm saying. We have a lot of really good firefighters that work for us, but I'm just saying that the guys that I worked with, and I'm biased, but I think they were the best, hands down. I would put them against anybody, So
I love it. I love the pride. I love the pride. I love the fact that you were sad when they promoted, but also, the sad, proud moment. You know what I mean?
yeah,
And
it's
then,
bittersweet.
yeah, very bittersweet. Then you got to start all over and ramp up the training to hit the standard. All right, questions coming at you from the audience. Let's get them going here. Greg Van Ham says, How does that make you feel that you trained your guys up so well to promote up?
So I mean, it's a double-edged sword feeling. To be honest with you, uh, two of them did not want to promote. They did not. I actually told them, "You're taking the test."
Oh,
So,
wow.
uh, and uh, and one of them is actually very pissed off that he got promoted. Uh, but he doesn't realize it. It's going to pay off. He's going to get back to a truck
Right.
company faster than he thinks, and he's going to be even happier. So it makes me feel, honestly, it's a good feeling, but at the same time, it's a sad feeling because I lost my crew, you know.
Yeah.
And it's you know, you guys know, we work together, we live together a third of our life, and you know, we were very close, not just on the job, but you know, outside the job as well. So there is that whole dynamics that's been, you know, changed, you know.
Right.
So it's good, but it hurts a little bit. But I'm proud when I see those guys. I listen to my driver on the radio. He didn't really sound confident at first. He needs to be more confident because he knows what he's doing, but he doubts himself. You know, that kind of
Right.
stuff.
Right.
But
Right.
you know, he's been promoted for, you know, about a month now, and I can tell just by his tone on the radio, we were on the same shift still,
Okay.
that he sounds a lot more confident. I shoot him a text. I'm like, damn, man, you sound good.
Sounding
You know,
good. Sounding good.
so that kind of stuff is good, man.
Jaime Reyes asks, this is me just asking, speaking of promoting, when's the captain's test?
I don't know. We don't have captains in Orlando, but I did. The Chiefs test came by in my email, and I saw it, and I was going to apply for it, and then it disappeared magically. It ended up in the trash, and then I tried to open it back up, and it kicked me out of my email. So, yeah.
It's just not
So
happening.
unfortunately, I wasn't able to apply this time around.
Are you going to?
No, I'm not going to.
Well, I'll
Yeah.
talk to you about that. I have a whole theory on the problem in the American Fire Service. I'll run it by you sometime.
Okay.
Next Level Extrication has a question for you coming at you. Paul Shoemaker wants to know, and he's coming up on the scrap next week, in fact. So
Awesome.
get ready for it. On your seat assignments, who takes the spreaders? Who takes the cutters? I'm a believer that the most experienced firefighter takes the spreaders. And then he goes on to say, no stabilization, just a standard cut job. What's your
Okay, so for our SOPs, we have our right jump, which is the firefighter sitting behind the officer. So the officer is going to go out, do a quick 360, figure out what's going on. While that's happening, our right jump he's tasked with stabilization and taking windows and taking glass. So if it's basic cribbing, he's just going to throw out his chocks. If it needs, you know, crutches or jacks or anything more severe, then both firefighters in the rear will tackle that, while the driver will set up the extrication tools. So he'll send out. We don't have any hydraulics for us. Everything is piped, so we're limited by reach. So he'll put out the cutters, pull out the spreaders while the stabilization is done. And I will actually assist with that after I'm done with my 360, because to me, we got to get this stuff done before we move on to other stuff, if it's not like a rapid rescue type deal.
Sure.
Okay. And he asked me the question without giving me a lot of details of the pin job, but essentially after the engineer sets out the spreaders and cutters, he has his sawzall. So the engineer will start cutting the larger post with the sawzalls, while the both firefighters will get the cutters and spreaders. And usually, like he said, our left jump, which is the most experienced one, we usually have the spreaders, and our right jump will usually have the cutters. But we train. I try to really, when we do training, and all our guys are so close in years of experience, that I really want everybody to be interchangeable and be able to use every tool of equipment just as good as anybody. while still having a seat assignment.
Sure.
Right. So I hope that answers his question.
No, I think you gave lots of details for everybody. Someone asked if Orlando's SOPs were available in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, yeah, I think you can just type them up online, or if not, you can reach out to me and I'll send them to you. Yeah, it's not a secret.
Love it. Love it.
We
Gavin
took
Reynolds,
them from somebody. Go ahead.
coming at you. Any recommendations on a 2-man engine performing extrication? Rural Georgia Fire Department, 2-man engine running extrication. Any tips?
I mean, really size up your vehicle and the patient status. What's the status of the patient? Are they critical? Are they BLS? Just entrapped by no emergency? To me, that's what's going to dictate everything. Is there any imminent danger, or can we wait for resources? But I mean, 2-man. I mean, you're going to have to work a lot harder than us. I mean, we're lucky. We got 4 guys. When I was on the heavy rescue, we had 5 guys on there. So we're very lucky as far as that goes. You guys are working a lot harder, but also you're probably getting a lot more experience. And honestly, like my old department, we were 2-man engines, 3-man squads, and you may not be doing it necessarily the right way per the book, but you're getting it done and learning a lot faster, if that makes any sense.
No, I love it. In fact, I got another question coming at you on got that one. I got that one. Yeah, Kyle's killing it right now. He's throwing them up here. There was what is your favorite Sawzall blade for vehicle extrication? Do you have a favorite Sawzall blade?
The Diablo, that's what we use. It does really well. I mean, I'm not really, I don't want to be out here BSing you like I'm a Sawzall blade connoisseur, but that's the one we use, and it's done well. I mean, we each carry 2 extra blades on us. So, I mean, we swap them pretty frequently.
Okay. No, I love it. I love it. Yeah, a lot of people saying Diablo is fire. Yeah. Carpe Fuego coming at you. There are no easy questions. I like this one first. I'm gonna run this one. She says, if Bassel could have that crew back for a year, what would he do differently as far as preparing for the next string? What would we have? Sorry, I'm reading terribly. What would he have his crew doing in order to facilitate the preparation for future readiness?
That's a great question, and to be honest with you, is nothing, because let me tell you why. Because we train with every single other companies at our firehouse. We developed those guys as much as we can. It's just it wasn't enough timing. Per our policy, like at my firehouse, we have 2 engine companies, an ambulance, a hazmat rig, and a tower. Okay, so we have a lot of dudes working there. We have a very, very young firehouse. By young, I mean the junior guy at the senior fireman had 5 years on the job at that firehouse. Backseat, 5 years. That's very, very young. So the other guys that just got hired, they're all great dudes going through all their classes to get their tickets to be able to ride the tower and all of that. We just didn't have the time. So to get them there, but the training in-house was happening for sure. It's just, to me, I did not see all my crew disappearing at the same time like that. I did not, and I don't know if there was anything that I would do differently to prepare the guys coming up at my firehouse, because really that's the only influence I have, the guys at the big house. But maybe delaying, maybe not having all 3 of the firemen in the back take the test at the same time. But how can you hold somebody back? You can't. You want to push people to do better and to spread their wings and all of that. But that's a great question. I think that's more of a organizational question, like a department wide question. Maybe I really don't know, man, because I like all the guys, all the new guys in my firehouse are great. So I don't want to say maybe, don't put all brand new guys at the
Right.
big house. I don't want that, because the guys that are assigned there want to be there. We're very busy. Nobody complains. Everybody gets along with everybody. There is no animosity between the engines and the trucks, and so I don't know what the answer is for that.
Right on. No, great answer. Great question from Amanda. Great answer. I wanted to point out one thing you did say in there was you said you could only worry about your company, your house. You know what I'm saying? Because that's what you control. And that is until you take that Chiefs test out of the garbage. But that's for the future talk. So
We'll talk later.
Carpe Fuego. Amanda coming up with another one. There's no easy ones here. This one's a tough one, actually. Can he explain the ideal procedures, coaching, mentoring, physical, job assignments, timeline, etc., for elevating or culling those who fall below the standard?
Okay, so almost.
And this is theoretical or ideal also. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. So for somebody that falls below the standard, right? That's the
Right?
question?
Yes.
Okay. So to me, it's going to depend what area they're short in. Okay. But really, to me, if they're hired and they're part of the Orlando Fire Department and they are off probation, okay, those guys are part of the family. Okay, they're there. So let's say it's like they're my stepkids. I married their mom. Okay, they're
Okay.
not my kids, but they're family. They're mine. So essentially, my job is I'm going to do 100% of everything I have in my power to try to bring him up. We need to try to give him a hand, but at some point you're not going to carry them. You cannot carry their weight the entire time. So you need to have written standards, and to me it all needs to be time based on everything, and you assess them fairly, not discriminating between genders, race, or any of that. Everybody has the exact same time to pass, no matter how long you have on the job, no matter how old you are, no matter if you're a guy, if you're a girl. And I know this is going to rub some people the wrong way, but it is what it is. And I truly believe that. And you need to assess them for a time-based test. If they don't make it, you give them X amount of weeks, X amount of months remediation. You train them, give them another shot. If they cannot do it, sorry guys, come back later when you're ready and we'll do it again. That's just my personal feeling. And it depends on, like I said, what area they're lacking. Like some people, I would immediately take you offline. You're offline right now. Like I'm telling you, I'm not going to mention any names. There was somebody that tried out for my tower company for one of the spots that one of the guys vacated when they promoted. Okay. I recommended that guy gets pulled offline because they should not even be employed. Okay, that's how bad that person was. Not has to do with a truck company or anything, but they should not even be employed, period. Okay, so immediately take offline, give him help, assist them, go on days at the training division or whatever, and then come back and try again. But that's super difficult. That's extremely difficult to do.
No doubt. No doubt. I love your passion for it. I love your dedication or your just hold the standard. That's awesome.
That's it.
And right in line with that, there's one coming at you from Next Level Extrication. Do your firefighters have to test out to get a ladder seat, or require specific certifications, or is it based on seniority, or how do they get?
No, and I hope it's never based on seniority, because seniority does not mean that you have experience. and that's just straight up the truth. No, you have to have, depending on what tower company or specialty company you're applying to, you need to have the certification for all the disciplines. So for our truck company, Tower One, it's a dive truck. So you need to have all your dive certification. It's a high angle truck, so technical rescue. So you need to have all your ropes, confined space, VMR, collapse, a trench. So all of those USAR type classes, as well as taking the truck company operation class, those are state certifications.
Okay.
Once you acquire those and you're off probation, you can take the Orlando Fire Department L test, which is the ladder test. And essentially it's a written exam and a practical exam. Then once you pass that, you get put on a list that you're able to ride the tower companies if one of the guys or the girls are on vacation or they're off. Furthermore, when an opening opens up, and that's crew dependent and company dependent, then they come out and then they test with you. So we have our own Tower One tryouts, and everybody does it. It's the same, but the thing is that when they run through it, every single one of us, including me, the officer, runs through it with them. I do it again in gear. Everything they do, I do. My driver does. My 3 firemen in the back does. That way, there is nothing they can come back and say, oh, well, they made me do this and they made me do that. No, we didn't make you. We all did it. We all did it. And it's the same for every single person that's come through since I got promoted over there. And I have it on paper. It's all time-based. Nice. And to be honest with you, my driver that just got promoted, we call him Papa Jim. He's an old dude. I love him. If he hears this, he's going to get mad. But he was not my first choice. He was not my first choice until he tested. And he crushed everybody else on the test. So I'm like, dude, you crushed it. You like significantly crushed it. So objective testing, so that there is no like bias and BS, but also you need to have good crew cohesiveness. Everybody has to mesh. If somebody really doesn't, it's going to throw off that crew dynamics.
I love it, brother, man. I love the questions coming at you. There are a lot coming at you, so please enjoy. As far as truck work goes, this comes from Brian Eisman. As far as truck work goes in regards to vertical ventilation, does Florida have a lot of metal roofs? And your thoughts on K-12, the K-12 for cutting metal roofs?
Okay, so I can only speak for my fire department. We do not go topside very much. We only go topside for commercial jobs. We don't go topside for residential. We don't go topside for apartments. We only go topside for commercial because we have so much manpower that we would rather maximize the square footage in a search pattern over going up top and sending guys to the roof right away. So it's worked really well for us. Although I wish we did a little more because I think it's cool. But tactically for us, it's worked really, really well. As far as K-12 for metal roofs, well, what blade do you have on there? That's what's going to really determine your cut, not just the K-12, but what kind of blade. So for us, we have a Warhog blade, your diamond and your carbide, and obviously your chainsaw that we take with us on the top side. But our typical bread and butter first cut would be a Warhog blade. It's a very aggressive blade. It's got a little wider kerf, and it's pretty aggressive. So you can get through the first layer of everything, and then you can start stitch cutting after that.
Now you start saying stuff like kerf, and all the truck nerds are going to start howling, and yeah, they're going to be excited. I love it. I love it, brother. This is a good transition question because I want to talk about it. Nate Sturm says, late to the party, so I apologize if this was asked. It was not asked yet, Nate. He said, Baz, what is your drive and passion behind One Bad Day, your love for RIT and Mayday training?
Yeah. Chief, great question, man. Really, it all started with long time ago with the RIT competition team that we used to have. And looking, the more we started competing and the more we started diving into the statistics and the data and all of that, and we're like, dude, nobody's doing RIT right. RIT is actually fun, man. It's RIT is everything. It's truck work, engine work, survival. It's everything. And if you're a good student of RIT, you're a good global firefighter. Your knowledge of firefighting is excellent because you should be well versed in engine ops, truck ops, survival, ventilation, technical rescue, TIC work. It's everything. So my initial drive for it is because I wanted to be really good at everything, which is not possible, but the RIT kind of gives you that avenue. And then the more I dug into it, I'm like, dude, we need to start changing the mindset nationally of RIT being used as a reactive function and as a checkbox assignment by command. You can do RIT functions without being RIT activated, without being RIT deployed. The caveat here is that you have to remain disciplined and not overcommit on the fire ground. And again, tactics are regional, man. They're local. So depending on your manpower, your staffing, your response and model,
Absolutely.
it's all going to change, obviously. But that was my initial drive for it.
Now, it's one of my favorite classes, one of my favorite lectures, brother. I love it, man. I really do. You're one of my favorite lecturers. I'm not saying that just because you're here. I tell a lot of people that. But I want to say that has developed. One Bad Day has developed now into One Bad Tour. So,
right.
What?
So
tell people exactly what One Bad Tour is.
Okay, so we've since we started the company, we dabble into many different classes. Obviously, all the truck stuff and the One Bad Day, which was our starter base class that we kind of developed other classes with. But so the guys were just, literally sitting there, and the guys were like, we should do a 24-hour class, like just like a very busy shift of just truck work and company scenarios. And so we're like, yeah, why can't we do that? Let's do it. So we reached out to a few different departments that would allow us to use their facilities. Actually, Chief Sturm there from Apopka, they were going to be the pilot department to let us use their facility.
Okay.
And then they had the death of a firefighter, Austin Duran, in their department, and that kind of stopped everything. So Leesburg Fire Department accepted and let us go out there and then host it for the first time. So we developed a curriculum that was very similar to the One Bad Day initial 3 8-hour-ish days. And we added some live fire component, which is very, very not like me because, as you know, I only use live victims because I don't want training scars to happen. And we all know with 1403 NFPA and stuff, we can't mix live fire and live victims. So it was kind of a difficult pill to swallow initially for me, but we were able to create a curriculum that had live fire and did not really hinder the live victim part. So essentially, we did a trial. We put ourselves through the program. There were 6 of us, and we quickly realized that we were idiots. And we had that program way too hard because we were like, there's no way we're dead, man. We
Right.
need to tone it way down. But in a nutshell, it's 24-hour of consecutive work. Just like you're a very busy shift, you come up and you bring your gear, you'll check your rigs, you'll bring your own food, your water. Obviously, we have stuff for you, but we want you to come in and be self-sufficient for 24 hours. And we dispatch you the calls. We try to keep you in the same companies the entire time. There is 3 different terminal objectives in the 24-hour class, and it's focused on truck company work for civilian, raid operation, and survival. There is no engine work in there. Now there is engines involved, but there'll be ghost units kind of playing stuff for the scenarios.
Sure.
For you.
I love it.
Yeah, so we did the first class in Leesburg last year, OBT1. We had 212 applicants. We don't take more than 30. And this second one is actually going to be November 18th and 19th coming up in Leesburg again.
Okay.
And that one had just over 300 applicants from all over the country. So a lot of lessons learned on our end from the first class that we tweaked based on some of the feedback from the students and the other instructors that we tweaked to make the class kind of flow a little bit better. We're always hypercritical on ourselves, man.
Right.
But this next one should be really good. So we're
starting to dial it in.
Yes, and it's going to keep getting dialed in.
How often is your vision of how often do you plan to do a one bad tour?
So we're going to run it twice a year, in the first quarter of the year and in the last quarter of the year where it's a little bit cooler.
Sure.
It's easier to run them here, Central Florida, because we have all our equipment and most of our cadre is out here. But we're gonna do one in Florida, one in Central Florida, and then we're gonna move one somewhere else around the country at somebody that wants to host it. The next one next year, the first quarter of 2024, is going to be in South Florida. So twice a year, that's enough. That's enough. Because I for one, I don't want it to become just a regular class that you just take. I want people that put in to actually really want to challenge themselves and get something out of it. That's why we have terminal objectives in there. But it's not a difficult class. It's just constant grind of basic operations, essentially teamwork.
Andrew Borgia, if I say it wrong, I'm sorry. It could be Bora. Wants to know, how was the Manitou incline? I'm not sure if that's.
He's talking about, we just came back from the Mile High Conference in Colorado. The Manitou incline is it's a hike that you do in Colorado Springs, and we did it in gear, and we actually did it twice. Did it in gear one day and the next day without gear, and it's actually, it was awesome. The views are phenomenal, but the altitude is a real thing. The altitude difference. That's a real thing. It took us just over an hour to like 103 to get it done in gear.
Oh, wow. That's awesome. No, I taught it. I just lectured. I wasn't even doing the incline. I was just lecturing, and my little pacing around style of speaking really fast. I was like, "What's wrong with your air here?" The Colorado Springs area, man.
Yeah, it's great.
I was like, "Where's all your air at? I don't understand." I like it. Sorry, I'm looking through the questions. I want to get to the good questions. Besides toning it down, this comes from Amanda Miller. Besides toning it down, what were some lessons you learned from the early days of One Bad Day that others could learn from and use for their own personal training or for putting on their own class?
As an instructor, is that what she's asking?
I think just lessons learned, and yeah, probably as well. Yeah, take it either direction you
Okay.
want. As an instructor, go for it.
Okay, as an instructor, so the main thing was, beside toning it down, which we had to do that, but was for the final scenarios. So it's a crawl, walk, run type class on all of them, including one bad tour. It's skills, and it culminates into this giant, multiple alarm type scenarios. For us, was logistically, we were not prepared the first couple of classes, just logistically and manpower. We were just recycling the same victims over and over and over and over, and the guys were just getting completely beat up. But really dialing down the scenarios so that if command requests the rosters for the shift, then you have those ready to give them. If they ask for the quick action plan with printouts, you have those ready. So initially, we didn't have any of that stuff.
Gotcha.
And which was, the chiefs, the student chiefs that would run the command, they would ask for all that. I'm like, damn, dude, I don't have this stuff, but that's a great idea. I would do the same thing if I was running the show. So really, it was just adding little things like that to make the final scenarios even more realistic and better. That's the biggest, I guess, change that we've done. As far as the curriculum goes, we just fine-tuned the timing based on how many students we took. So we wanted to take 50 students at first, and there's no way you can get people the right amount of reps for that amount of time. So we toned it down to 30, and that seemed a lot more manageable time-wise.
Okay.
But that's the biggest takeaways, I guess, on our end.
Love it. He answered that one. Jake Deal wants to know, how does company mental health play a factor in your everyday leadership, and how do you make a check-in on that?
Yeah. So, and I have that stigma in my own department that I'm this crazy dude that's super hardcore and that does not like mental health. That's not an advocate for that. That could not be further from the truth. I just cope a different way than most people. So we all have different coping mechanisms. And for us and the guys, my old crew and my new crew, dude, we are in constant contact on the job, off the job. We do stuff off the job all the time. We plan trips. We work out together every shift, every day off the job. We teach together outside. Our families are close, are tight. Our kids are close, are tight together. So we have a really good on the job and off the job, coping mechanism. Right. And we do check. I check on the guys, man, and we have a really good peer support program. Lieutenant Jeff Orange in Florida, man, he's one of our lieutenants, and he started this whole peer support stuff for the state here, and we have a lot of really good dudes, guys and girls that we can reach out to. But to be honest with you, like the guys at my firehouse, when we run a crappy call, I ask them, hey, you guys want me to call the peer support? They don't want to. They want to sit down at a kitchen table and then talk crap amongst each other. So I have to legally, I guess, or because I'm the company officer, I have to give them that option. But most of the time we cope with each other at the firehouse. Without the use of the additional peer support.
Sure.
However, our guys and our girls on that peer support team still reach out off the job, not even on the job. They call the guys because they're our brothers and sisters, man. You take the
Right.
badge off and the shirt off, we're all human. And the guys, like some really good dude, Pat Kelly, calls up, hey man, you guys doing all right? Is your crew doing good? I'm not pushy. I just want to know you guys need
Right.
anything, give me a call, man. You know, and that's the part that I like, that it's not forced on the guys, it's optional. And the guys do it, the guys that are on the team really do it for the right reasons. Like open heart, they care about uh, their fellow brothers and sisters, man, and it shows, versus having like a mandatory policy. Hey, you run this crazy call, you're going to sit down with a CISM team or whatever it's called nowadays. I don't think that's good. But our version of it, that the way we approach it, I think it's a lot better, in my opinion.
Sure.
But
Sure.
we all cope differently. We all do, you know, different things to de-stress. So I think that's a very multifaceted questions with multiple different answers based
No
on
doubt.
the person.
Oh man, there's so many good questions, Baz. You got a lot coming at you, brother.
All right.
Tom Hollick throwing it at you from Texas. Can you talk toward your mindset on training, how you develop a class, how you picked your team, how you identified the skill sets to cover? I love your quote, training is controlled failure. It seems this should be the mantra not only for RIT training, but across the board.
Yeah. So first of all, Tom, I got your text, and yes, I will take care of you. I wasn't able to respond, but you got it, brother. It's coming your way. So how I picked the team, the guys teaching with me, is because I know what they're capable of. I've seen it in training, I've seen it in real life. So those guys are vetted. And if you notice, and anybody that's taken any of our classes, there is always at least one or two very, very junior guys on the crew. And that's the succession planning for when one of the guys or when one of the girls cannot make it, or is going to have a kid or a family and is going to be occupied, or whatever the case is. Now we have next guys coming. So they're vetted by the extreme amount of training that we do already on our companies and in Orlando. And it's not just guys from Orlando. I mean, the cadre, we have guys from West Coast of Florida, we have guys from Colorado, we have guys from Seattle, we have guys from Georgia. I mean, I want to bring people to teach with me that I know that can do the job. As long you have to be able to back up and do what you say. So that, to me, that's the biggest thing. You have to be able to do what you say. Back up the talk. If you're not able to, I feel that you're not going to get the amount of buy-in that you should. That's for that was a multiple.
No, there was multiple parts to it,
Question,
but
right?
it was a great answer. It was a great answer and got to the meat of it. Tony Nunez coming at you, says, what is your selection process to go from 300 apps to pick those 30, those lucky 30?
That is a great question. Very good question. So I have a matrix. So the application process has different questions on there. Obviously, how long you've been on the job, demographic information for the sole purpose of data collection. That's it. It has nothing to do. I'm not going to pick you if you're a guy versus if you're a girl, or if you're an old dude or a young dude. That has nothing to do with it. But you rank, where you're at in the country, attention to detail. Let me say that again, attention to detail. So if the question says, include what fire department are you from and what state are you in, and you write Orlando Fire Department, your application is going in the trash. Why? Because you didn't say Orlando Fire Department, Florida. I'm not trying to be like a jerk, but attention to detail starts early. And if you're not able to fill out a simple application, you're not ready for this class. So yours on the job, classes, have you taken any of the classes that we're going to be covering, the topics that we're going to be covering on? what else is on there? Have you applied to the program before? And I try to grab X amount of people from the state and about 20% from out of state, uh, just to kind of make it easy from where, like regionally, where we're going to do it. And it's very, very difficult to go down from 300
Oh, I
to
bet.
30.
I
It's
bet.
super difficult. So, and I'm telling you, so this is the second class that we ran. If you did not get picked up the last go around and you applied again, you're moving up in the matrix because there is consistency and your drive in putting in for the class. So you're moving up. But the choice isn't just mine. There is a panel of us. Once we get them all in, we sit down and then we look at the candidates. And we try also to pair you up with people that you work with. So if there's multiple people from your agency, we'll try to do at least one company's worth of people from your agency or neighboring departments. So we can kind of address the same tactics or the,
Sure.
or because now we got this next one, we got guys from Colorado, we got guys from North Carolina, South Carolina, Oklahoma, Texas, and then a bunch of Florida people in there. So that's pretty wide array of stuff. So it's difficult if you have too many different jurisdictions in there. But that's a great question, man. And the matrix is there. It's not perfect. Obviously, there is some stuff that is subjective, but you have to make an executive decision at some point because you can't. It's too many people to bring in.
Right. No, and the attention to detail is a great way just to really get rid of some. I mean, pare it down.
That takes care of half the people. I'm telling you right there.
Yeah.
Dude, sadly.
Hey, there's your life hack for getting into One Bad Tour. Attention to detail will get you past half the people. It'll get you in the top 50%. I like this one, and this will. We got a lot of good questions here, but this one is kind of one of the topics we want to talk about anyway. Carpe Fuego says, "Do you have long-term plans or strategies for staying relevant and able throughout the life of your career? Will you continue to test yourself through more smoke diver programs or competitive events, things like that?" Because the last time you were on, you said you were going to do the Georgia Smoke Diver, and since then, you've gone and completed the Georgia Smoke Diver program. So, talk to the question and to that.
Yes. So, yes, I will constantly set new goals and try to challenge myself. It may not be physically, they may not be physical goals, it may be intellectual goals. But for me, if I don't have a target in front of me, I will go backwards. I will. You don't stay stagnant. I used to think that you could be stagnant. That does not exist. You either make progress or you lose progress. Being stagnant is not a thing. So I will always have a goal in front of me to try to reach. So I told my current crew, I told them it'd be really cool if all of us would go to another smoke diver program together. Now, I would rather not do an Oklahoma or Indiana because it's a sister program to the Georgia program, which I just was fortunate enough to complete it. I wanted to see something completely different, which it would still be a challenge and it would be a little different than the Georgia program, but it's a sister program. We've been in contact with the Alabama smoke diver guys. So if we can pull that off, that will be one that we're going to attempt next. But I think I need to start, personally speaking, I need to start working on my brain rather than just only physical programs. And that sounds bad. That sounds like all the smoke diver programs are just physical and you're not thinking, because that's not the case. You're actually doing quite a bit of critical thinking and using your brain and all. But what I'm talking about is academically, I need to
No, we're tracking. We get it. I
you're
get what you're
tracking.
saying.
I need to get the right bachelor degree and then the right master degree for future. You never know, but yeah. So I'm always challenging myself at work or off work, and I highly suggest anybody, man, if you have a target, if you have a goal in front of you, it's a lot easier to move towards it than move towards nothing, if that makes sense.
Oh yeah, I love
Yeah.
it, brother. Keep preaching, baby. I love it. All right, man. There's still 4 or 5 more questions there. Didn't quite get to them all, but we've been going at it, and I'm loving it. But I do want to move to anything else you want to cover. I think we hit a lot of it, right?
Yeah, you were good, man. We're
Okay.
good. I mean, we
Books.
could talk for a week, but that's
I
not
know,
what
I
we're
know,
here
and the
for.
questions are still coming, but we do have to pick it. But book or books that you think firefighters should be reading? It's one of my favorite questions. I love asking it.
Okay, so I just got done reading it, and it's called "Surrounded by Idiots."
Okay.
It's by Thomas Erickson, and it it's a book that discusses different type of uh, individual behaviors, the type of person you are, and how to deal with that said person. And Thomas Erickson categorized those behaviors, those traits, into 4 different colors: red, blue, green, and yellow. And based on that, that book is not meant to figure out which color you are, rather how to deal with people of those
Of those
4 type
colors.
of behaviors. So uh, I was told that I have a delivery problem. My delivery was a little bit too direct, or whatever people want to say.
Brisk,
So
brusque, yeah.
yeah, whatever, man. So I'm like, well, maybe I'm just not understanding these people. Uh, and that book is actually very, very good. And
Okay.
so it's called Surrounded by Idiots.
Now, once you
And,
mentioned the colors, I realized someone just suggested that book to me
oh,
when I
really?
was out in California. Someone said you got to read this book; it's great. Teaches you
Yeah,
how to deal with people, and
yeah.
so no, I
It's
love it.
it's good, man. So that's what I suggest, because that's the latest one that I've
I
read.
love it. Any others you want to throw in? Because I'll write them down. I'm just looking. I'm always looking. But if that's it,
Yeah.
yeah.
The
Okay.
other one that I'm sure somebody suggested it, but I'm gonna curse. It's called "Fuck Your Feelings."
Right.
So that's a good one too. Uh,
You're
but
safe. We're on the interwebs. You're safe. You
cool.
can.
Yeah. But no, that's it, man. Surrounded by Idiots. Great book.
Love it. Uh, that seems to be my saying for the night. I love it. I love it. I just keep saying it every time Baz talks. So here we go. This is one of my favorite parts of the show. The 5 questions for firefighters. You were around for the original set, I'm pretty sure. And
Yeah.
then now we have moved on. We're now at the 5 questions for firefighters version 3.2. It's the 3rd set with some modifications over time. So the questions, man, the answers are simply your opinions. There are no right or wrong. The points are arbitrary. They're assigned by me with the help of the audience. So, Basil, are you ready for the 5 questions for firefighters version 3.2?
Let's do it.
All right, here we go. What is the skill that has carried you through your fire service career?
Okay. So I'm gonna say it's a combo. It's consistency and impatience.
Okay,
Okay. And let me expand real quick.
right on.
I was consistent pressure, slow pressure on everything that I wanted my entire career. If I want to get to this truck company, I'm going to apply. I'm going to apply. If I want this job, I'm going to apply. I want to apply. And the impatience part, a lot of people view it negatively, but if you combine consistent effort with rapid effort, which the impatience, you will get to your goal faster. It's worked for me. So I'm not waiting. I I keep the pressure going, what it is, and I want it now. I want it now. And a little bit, it's not working. That's fine. I'm going to keep trying this, but in rapid sequence. I,
Right.
I don't want to wait, and it's a double-edged sword, but
Sure.
it's worked for me. I've been at the right places at the right time, but my impatience combined with my consistent traits have taken me where I am, man, and I'm blessed.
I love it. I do. I say I love it again. You've got like 14 people saying max points already on it. The scruff beard gets max points. Was also mentioned there. Max
All
points. Love the
right.
impatience. Impsistency. That's what I'm going to say. That's what I call it. Impsistency.
There
It's
you go.
impatience mixed with consistency. Impsistency gets max points. Question 1. All right. Number 2. It's Jobtown. It's time. You're en route and responding. You have to think of the scene from Backdraft where they slap the tape into the tape deck. Uh, what song are you playing en route?
uh, I'll play the Rocky Balboa theme song, "Going Up the Stairs."
I love
That's
it.
it. That's what's in my head. The Rocky theme song.
There you go. It's going to be added to the playlist.
There you go.
Rocky on the Steps absolutely gets max points, and now it's stuck in my head right now. Like, dun, 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 dun. Okay. What is your favorite fire service tradition?
I like the earn your shield tradition. I don't know if you guys have it or whatnot, but for us, whether you get off probation or you get assigned to a truck company, so if you're on probation, uh, you you wear your generic shield, so Orlando Fire Department shield, and then you get off probation, and your crew buys you your engine one shield or
Nice.
engine whatever you rig shield, and you got to earn it because there are usually some sort of assessment attached to that, and same thing for the truck companies. We all are all a little bit different. For us on Tower One, we started this new one, and I give credit to Mikey Covell, who was my old fireman who just got promoted to engineer. But he's like, let's do one day at the training center of we cover every discipline that we have on the truck. So 1 hour of truck work, 1 hour of rope, 1 hour confined space, 1 hour of dive, 1 hour of VMR, 1 hour of trench, 1 hour of collapse, confined space. And we're literally doing all day, boom, 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 back to back, all of us.
Wow.
And then at the end, it's a fun day, man, you know. And at the
Right.
end of the day, we give the new members their shield.
That's
So,
awesome, man.
but so yeah, so I would say the earn your shield for the company.
Again, the max points are just flying by. Max points for shield, max points, all about earning the shield, max points. Yeah, he goes, Jake Deal said max points. I like that shit. Crew buys your new shields. Man, that is cool, man. I like the pride. I like the esprit de corps that kind of builds into it, man. The identity, the belonging. It's all, dude, I love that. That's the whole purpose of having traditions.
That's right.
Man. Number 4, and this one is on the clock. So Sam's going to put the clock there where everybody can see it. You can see the clock ticking down. You have 1 minute to answer. Who are the 4 people you would put on your Mount Rushmore of the fire service?
Don Abbott. Don Abbott. Brian Brush, Firefighter Rescue Survey.
Absolutely.
Jim McCormick, FDTN. And David Rhodes, Chief Rhodes on it.
Brother, that's
solid. Chief Rhodes.
I don't know if that's the fastest. It might be the fastest ever.
And Chief Rhodes. I'm debating, but only 4. There's so
only
many
4
out there.
Oh, bro, that's why we had to put on a clock.
There's so many.
If it's not on the clock, then people start giving alternates and backups and reasons why.
Because I mean, Don Abbott and Brian Brush. I mean, Don Abbott, you know, obviously just passed, but his research and study for the Mayday project is unbelievable and so instrumental that he changed the fire service. Brian Brush, and the firefighter rescue survey team
Oh,
are
brother.
changing the game right now. And if I'm sure everybody that's listening knows that.
You can never mention it enough. So absolutely,
I mean,
firefighterrescuesurvey.com. Go be
firefighter
a
rescue
part.
survey,
Go be
get
a
on
part.
there. Jim McCormick, I mean, pioneer for doing real training, legit real training, experienced, seasoned guys teaching, phenomenal facility. And I mean, Chief Rhodes, man, I mean, taking over, Bobby Halton's spot with FDIC, his leadership in the Georgia Smoke Diver program, his mindset and developing that many smoke divers that are multiplying and having their mindset over and, multiplying exponentially around the country. And now he's, at the head of the biggest fire conference out there with his speech that he did last year.
Beautiful.
And we're in really good hands with all these people, man. I hope somebody, and I don't know if you know or anybody can answer this, but is anybody taking over Chief Abbott's research?
Man, this is what I heard the other day is that Project Mayday actually went offline because.
Oh, it did.
Yeah, and
that's what
so
I'm asking is.
No, I don't think anybody is carrying the torch yet. I haven't looked into it, but we were actually just talking about it the other day and saying that the website was down because obviously no one's maintaining it. So
right. Well, if anybody knows anything about, I mean, you got a huge platform here.
Yes,
Somebody
absolutely.
would let me know. That would be fantastic.
If anybody knows who, reach out to Bassel. We'll get your contact info at the end and let him know, man.
Yeah. But,
absolutely.
I mean, Corley, and I know you won't take it, but what you're doing with the scrap is, I'm serious. I get it. All right.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah. Like when you say, don't read my bio.
I know how it is, but
thank you.
The truth. That's the truth. The vessel of information that you are providing for everybody, dude, is invaluable, man. Like
thank
the people, it's unreal, man.
I'm terrible at taking compliments, but I'm telling you this, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart. I'm the luckiest dude in the fire service because I get to sit here and listen to you for like an hour and a half, and then people tell me thank you. Like how awesome is that? You know what I'm saying? So thank you. Now max points. Someone said you didn't get max points because you didn't say Brian Crush, because that's how we refer to him always on the scrap. Brian Crush. But no, max points. 4 for 4. Final question. You've had it before, but I don't know if anything's changed in that time, but it's heavy fire, searchable space. Would you rather be assigned to the nozzle or first in on VES?
I can't believe you're even asking this question. VES, of course.
Every time. I would have been shocked if you had some sort of new approach or philosophy that would have changed it.
No, not going to change. This is it.
I don't know. It was like 20 minutes in and we hit over 100 comments. So you'll have to go to YouTube. You have to go to Facebook and look at those comments at your leisure and check out the ones I couldn't even see and get to and read to you. There's a lot of people complimenting you on being A, sexy, C, a plugged in firefighter and good at what you do. But there's a lot of good compliments or comments, not just compliments. And there was questions I didn't get to. So you can mess with those at your leisure. But brother, absolutely crushed it. Carpe. They said max points, extra credit, max points. Great scrap. So that being said, 5 questions for firefighters, max points, 5 for 5. Good job, sir.
All right.
I should have gone back and seen your old score and see if you crushed it back to back, but I don't. We'll have to.
I think you give 5 points to everybody, Corley.
That's not true. That's not true. There have been. No. It's very rare, but let's be honest, and this is the truth of it. When you bring on the stellar guests that I have on, it's almost hard for them not to just absolutely crush. You know,
that's fair.
It really is. It's almost like the standard is so, what is it? When the standard's so high, the coasters are rock stars. So
that's right.
That's officially 214 scraps in the books. My brother, Bassel Ibrahim, what an amazing evening. Thank you for sharing your evening with us. If someone wants to get a hold of you, get more info about the show or has info on Project Mayday or Don Abbott or anything like that, what's the best way to get a hold of you?
Email or any social media. So profdtraining@gmail.com, or message me on social media and I'll get right back to you, man.
That officially does it. Go to firehousevigilance.com. If you're not a vigilante, man, you got to be a part of it. This Friday, I'm going live to do another Fire Away. I got all these topics we're going to talk about, and you can just ask live questions on the Fire Away. It's a lot of fun. Plus, the after party, which is coming up here in about 2 minutes, where you get to go in and roast Bassel. They never do. But you get to go roast Bassel and tell him how awesome or poorly he did on the scrap. But you got to go firehousevigilance.com. Join it. It's $5 a month. It's awesome. Next week, coming up, lithium ion, electric vehicles, I mean, it's going to be awesome. Paul Shoemaker of Next Level Extrication, who was in here asking great questions tonight. I'm excited for it. A lot of hype from people who have attended his class. He might be the most hyped guest that I've never met. Or and because it's how many people said, man, his class is amazing. His class is amazing. Can't wait for you to have him on. So I'm excited for that. Followed by that, Reginald McKnight, followed by the one and only Brian Crush. So it's happening, man. Amazing scraps just keep on happening in 2023. The final quarter is going to finish strong. Vigilantes, I will post a link as soon as we get out of here. So look for it in the private group, and we will be ready to roast Bassel. I don't know why I even say we do it. Thank you, my brother, for being such an amazing guest.
Thanks for having me again, man. It was a blast. See
you
guys.
Audience, you make the scrap magical. Thank you for showing up, asking questions. You make the scrap amazing. Would be nothing without you. I hope the tones stay silent unless it is burning. Everybody, stay safe out there.